What happens when the Suicide Squad stops a group of revolutionaries? They join the team, of course. Welcome to the Comicstorian Full Story channel, where you get old and new full stories from Comicstorian in one place to give you a better viewing experience. Today's full story is Suicide Squad: Bad Blood by Tom Taylor. I hope you enjoy. The crowd gathers around the General as he continues the press conference for the unveiling of their 3 new submarines. Suddenly, Wink appears next to him in a bright light. "Hi," she says simply. She reaches out, grabbing a hold of the General and teleporting away again. They appear high in the sky and the General starts screaming as he plummets down to the earth below. "I know, right? Falling to our death. Pretty scary," Wink jokes. Suddenly, the Ares swoops in and grabs them both. "Gasp! A last-second rescue? Who could have seen such an eventuality?" Wink says. The Ares looks at the General, demanding that he evacuate the subs so that his soldiers don't die. "We will never surrender to terrorists!" the General yells. The Ares sighs and lets him go. They reach out and take a better hold of Wink. "I'm sorry, you tried," she tells them. They land back on the boat, with Wink reporting that their conversation went as well as to be expected. "Self-destructive idiots," Osita snaps. She looks at the TNT. "Sub on the right, go boom," she tells him. He appears on the sub in an instant as Wink teleports them in. "See ya," she shouts as she salutes the soldiers and disappears. The soldiers open fire, but TNT explodes. The detonation rips the sub apart, and Osita nods, telling her team that the sub on the left is theirs. Meanwhile, beneath the waves, Scale and Finn surge forward. "Hello, surface dwellers," Scale says through telepathy. "You should have stayed on the surface," Finn adds as the brothers barrel through the middle of the sub, ripping it in half. After the team has taken out the crew of the last sub, they pull away from the dock and into the open ocean. Deep underground, in a classified military installation, Task Force X watches the footage of the attack. And Harley claps. "Stop clapping," Waller orders her. "You have to admit, that was pretty impressive," Deadshot notes as he nods at the TV. But a new man enters the room, dressed in a nice suit with half of his face scarred. "That is not impressive," he snaps. He tells the team that the revolutionaries have been attacking across the planet and rattles off a list of their hits. "Who's the walking information dump?" Deadshot asks, still talking to Waller. "This is Locke. It's his operation," Waller tells him. Locke explains that the sub that the group stole is armed with a nuclear warhead and is parked in international waters. "Justice League won't go near it, and that's where you come in," he says to the team. Floyd looks around at the gathered villains. That team looks like they know what they're doing, and this is about the worst Suicide Squad ever assembled, he tells the man, motioning to Magpie and the Cavalier. "I don't understand the zebra theme," Harley points out as she walks up to Zebra Man. "Were you bitten by a radioactive zebra? Are your powers zebra-based? Do you just really like zebras?" she asks as the villain shakes his head. "I just steal things. I think I'm gonna have to pass," Magpie notes. But Locke looks at them and tells them that they'll add a year to their sentences. "That's never been the deal," Floyd growls. Locke reaches out and zaps him with a cattle prod, knocking him to the ground. And Locke looks at the group. "If I encounter any more subordination, I will blow your heads and finish this conversation with a neck stump," he tells them. 2 days later, the sub is parked in the South China Sea. Inside, Osita finishes deactivating the warhead. "You can breathe easy, TNT, she tells her friend. She turns, reminding him that this is one less bomb that they can use. Outside, Wink and the Ares fly around. Wink teleports away, allowing Ares to catch her every time. Suddenly, a gunshot echoes out and the round pierces Ares' wing. They both begin to fall, and Wink gets over their comms to warn Osita before they both hit the water. Finn and Scale rush forward, grabbing the pair. As Finn leaps up onto the deck with Ares, he turns back around. "Scale, Where did you go? I can't hear you in my head, he says with his mind. Suddenly, the shark leaps up onto the deck with Scale in his mouth. Please don't hurt him. He's half of me, Finn whispers. But then he screams as the shark bites his brother in half. Inside, Magpie radios in as she slips aboard the sub. But suddenly, a voice fills the hallways. She begins to move faster, but the voice follows her. Where are you running to? You can't hide, Thylacine whispers as she comes out of the shadows. Magpie begins to babble an apology before the woman attacks her. On the choppers coming in, Locke looks at his data pad and notes that they lost Magpie. He looks up and orders Cavalier and Quinn to attack. On the sub, Jog suddenly zips out of the hatch and slams into the shark, launching him off the ship. Cavalier and Quinn land on the sub, immediately attacking. Ha-ha! On guard! Cavalier laughs as he stabs at Chaos Kitten, but she blocks the blow and punches him in the face. Before he can react, Osita punches him through the back of his head, killing him. On board the helicopter, Locke hands Deadshot a rifle and orders him to take the revolutionaries out with non-lethal force. Screw that! They just killed 2 of our... You used them as bait, Deadshot suddenly realizes. Do as I say or you will explode, Locke orders him. Gunshots echo above as rounds hit all of the revolutionaries in rapid succession. Who shot me? Osita growls. We did, Locke says, his voice now in her head. He explains that he is broadcasting from the speakers that are now inside them, but he also mentions that there is a bomb in them as well. He lands on the sub, casually walking towards the new team. You're going to have to pay for your crimes another way. You work for us now, he tells them. Both Floyd and Harley look to Waller, shocked. It's not her call, he tells the pair. Waller looks up, explaining that she's quit. I'm just here to oversee the changeover, she tells them. But Osita looks down at Locke, explaining that they'll never work for him. We're freedom fighters, she spits. Locke nods. He knows her history with the US government, and he holds up his pad and hits a button. Can anyone else hear that? TNT asks as a beeping noise begins to emit from him. Osita looks at him, stunned. It's okay, one less they can use, he tells her gently, and his head explodes. Osita, which one of your team dies next, rather than work for me? Locke asks. She turns, glaring at him, and promises she'll kill him one day. The TAC team lands on the sub, arresting the rest of the revolutionaries. Floyd looks at Locke. You can't be serious, he whispers to the man. But Locke just turns away. You said we had the worst squad ever. I agree. This is my upgrade. With this suicide squad, I can remake the world, Locke tells him as he boards the helicopters. In the secret facility, Finn sits alone in a pool of water. He reaches out with his mind, asking if anyone can hear him. Yes, I can hear you, the shark growls as he places his hand against the glass wall of his own pool. He smiles a toothy grin as he shares memories of Scale's death with Finn. This is what it felt like to eat your brother. He tasted terrible, but I liked the way he wriggled. Shark laughs. But Finn's body is incredibly dense, and he slams his fist through the 5 inches of glass, punching the shark in the head. He breaks through, slamming his own head into the villain. But the guards activate their electrodes, shocking them both. Later, Harley and Floyd walk with Locke through the corridors. You can't expect us to work with these people. They killed Magpie. She seemed nice, Harley yells. They also killed Cavalier, Floyd reminds her. Oh yeah, I didn't really have any strong feelings about that guy, Harley says with a nod. Locke pauses briefly. Waller may have tolerated your running commentary, Quinn. I won't, he tells her. Honestly, it's not something you really get a choice in, she says with a smile. Moments later, she has been gagged. They enter the prison where they are holding the revolutionaries. Protected by Zebraman's shield bubble, Locke makes his offer. You're dead. The world believes you've been killed. Right now, you don't exist. But I'm giving you one chance. 50 missions. After which, your freedom will be granted, and you'll be given new identities. He tells them, standing before Osita. She looks him up and down. Does Zebraman have to give you a force field every time you talk to us? She asks. Locke nods, explaining that he doesn't believe the bombs will stop her from doing something stupid. He continues, explaining that their first mission is to remove the president of Bednia, who refuses to step down after being voted out. And what's the point of rigging an election if no one honors the results you paid for? He says with a smile. You will enter the country, take out the president, and install our chosen leader, he tells them. He reminds them that they'll be listening in on comms and watching them via satellite. Do the job, don't do anything stupid, he orders them. A short time later, Finn and Shark are barreling through the water towards the shore of Bednia. Locke gets on the radio, reminding them that if they continue to fight, he'll blow one of them up at random. I want you to know, I'm comfortable with those odds, Finn says as he looks back at his enemy. The shark looks at him. Are you wearing one of my teeth as a necklace? He asks. Finn smiles. You took a piece of me, I took a piece of you. The two launch out of the water at the Bednia radar station, taking out the guards and dish rapidly, and setting the station ablaze. With this done, the squad's birds can move in. On board, Wink squeezes the Ares' hand and tells them that it'll be all right. What's your problem? Floyd asks as he looks up. The Ares doesn't like flying, Wink tells him. Floyd looks shocked, reaching out and reminding them that they have wings. Osita's arm snaps out and stops him. Ow, Floyd glares. I love flying. I don't enjoy being propelled by a highly flammable liquid and encased in a metal tube that can fall out of the sky and explode without notice, they tell him. Well, when you put it like that, Floyd nods. Suddenly, guards at the president's house open fire on the birds. Bullets pepper the cockpit and rip through the pilot. Floyd fights his way forward, pushing the dead pilot aside as he tries to gain control. Controls are dead! We're going down! He shouts as he turns back to the rest of the team. As Wink waves and the three of them teleport away. Are you f***ing serious? Floyd growls. The trio watches as the plane crashes, and Floyd lands nearby, slamming into the ground hard with his parachute. He springs up, aiming his wrist pistol at the trio. What the hell was that? He snaps, but he calms himself as Locke gets on the radio and he reports in. Hang on, where's Wink? Floyd asks as he looks around. Osita waves off the question and tells him that she is in the house. By herself? We have to get in there, he yells. Suddenly, Wink appears next to him with the president. They don't know he's missing yet, she says as she pushes him to Deadshot. Osita begins to lead the group towards a storm drain nearby, hoping to stay low. Inside, they find a lone guard. He raises his rifle shakily, ordering them to stop. Wink, range, Osita orders. The woman teleports behind the guard, and she grabs him as she teleports forward so that Osita can punch him in the face. Osita smiles, reaching down and picking up the guard's rifle. Oh God, it's an ambush! She begins to shout as she fires the weapon wildly. Deadshot looks at her in shock as she turns the rifle around and shoots herself in the shoulder. She turns to Ari and Wink, shouting for them to get the president out of here. But then she fires at the president's feet. He turns, rushing back to Deadshot. No, please don't let them kill me, the man begs. Locke gets on the radio, demanding to know if they've secured the president. The president turns back to Osita as she raises the rifle and shoots him in the head. Deadshot is still shocked as Osita holds a finger to her lips. motioning for Deadshot to keep quiet as Locke continues to demand for an update. He's down, Locke. The asset's down. Deadshot finally confirms. The blood of the dead president drips down Floyd's face as he looks at the trio of revolutionaries before him. It was an ambush, Locke. It's like they knew we were coming. Their soldiers are down, but Osita was shot, Floyd reports. I don't give a about Osita. Will the president make it? I doubt it. He has a big hole where he should have a skull and brain matter, Floyd tells him. Locke screams in rage, slamming his fist against the console over and over again. He turns, demanding the technicians to tell him which button will hurt the team. He slams his hand down on the indicated button and sends electricity lashing through the 4 members of the squad. In the storm drain, the team screams in pain as they fall to their knees. He gets on the radio, calling out to Team A on their helicopter. Locke? Yeah. Hi, you know you broadcast that whole thing, right? Harley asks. Yes, I wanted you all to hear it. I wanted you to know the cost of failure, he tells her. She nods, asking if she wants them to turn around, but Locke orders them to continue. The rest of the team will meet you at the palace, gain entry quietly, and kill the president, he orders. Harley looks up at the team, asking why Jog is asleep, but Thylacine and Chaos Kitten just glare at her. But Deadly Six leans over and explains that Jog is fast in short bursts. His power uses a lot of energy, and he has to conserve it. So you're happy to talk to me? Harley asks. I know where the blame lies and where to focus my anger, Six nods. As the chopper comes in low over the palace, Harley looks out the window and points out all the guards. Chaos Kitten smacks Jog. Wake up! We need you to knock out a bunch of people, she tells him. He nods, standing up with a yawn and stretching. Okay, Six, you want to make them easier targets? Jog asks. The man jumps down, standing before the gathering of soldiers. His powers snake out, and he commands them with one word. Sloth, he says simply. He turns back and walks up the ramp. They're all lazy now. You're up, Jog, he calls. Inside, Harley looks on as Jog continues to stretch. What are you doing? She asks. Stretching? I don't want to pull anything. You ever tried to run through a soft tissue injury at super speed? It hurts, he tells her. Energy cracks around him as Jog rushes out of the helicopter. He knocks out the guards, grabbing their weapons and stacking them on the ground. He stops, chugging an energy drink before rushing forward again. Like a tidal wave, he punches a large group of soldiers, knocking them all out. Finally, the rest of the team step off the helicopter to find Jog sitting on the front steps of the palace. Well, I'm feeling redundant, Harley sighs as she looks at the ground of unconscious soldiers. Thylacine turns to Harley, telling her that she and Chaos Kitten will sneak in. I'm coming with ya, Harley shouts, but they both shake their heads. You don't strike me as someone who can do things quietly, Kitten snaps. Six smiles, telling her that she is just a part of the establishment, keeping an eye on them. I'm a part of the establishment? Harley asks, shocked. In the ocean, Finn and Shark move through a group of sharks as Locke orders them to regroup with the team. Finn suddenly swims forward, telling the shark that it's about time he gave him his tooth back, and he buries the shark's tooth into his side, drawing blood. Finn turns around, reaching out with his telepathy. That's a lot of blood in the water, he tells the group of sharks behind him. No, stop! We can work this out! Stop commanding them! Shark begs as he tries to stop the flow of blood, but the sharks are already surging forward, biting into the villain. Please, I don't command fish, but I can ask them very nicely, Finn says with a smile. Inside the command center, one of the techs looks up and reports that they lost the shark. Anger fills Locke as he hits the comms and demands a response from Finn. He's underwater. He can't respond, the tech tells him. Locke hits another button, ordering Deadshot and his team to start moving. Seriously? You electrocuted us. Floyd growls as he struggles up, but Locke ignores them, ordering the team to get to the palace and kill the president. Do something right! Locke snaps. Finn arrives at the tunnel, and Osita orders her team on their feet. "Where's the shark?" Deadshot asks. "He was eaten. It's the sea. Things get eaten," Finn tells him. Now that he's here, Finn connects the rest of the revolutionaries via telepathy. And now that the shark can't listen in, they all begin to communicate in their minds. "What do we do with Deadshot?" Wink asks. "If this is going to work, we either bring him in or kill him right now," Osita says as they both turn to the man. "What's everyone looking at?" Floyd asks. Finn looks at him and tells the others that he senses fear. The Aerie nods. They understand that Floyd has been living this life for years. He's probably expecting to die, they tell the others. Floyd throws up his hands. "Seriously, what's going on?" he demands. Osita looks down at the man and offers him her hand. "The Aerie's right, Finn. Bring him in," she says, but then turns to Wink. If he tries to alert Locke, teleport his face into a wall. Floyd looks up as Osita's voice fills his mind and tells him to be quiet. "You're telepathic?" he asks. She shakes her head and points out that Finn is. "You didn't stop us from killing the president. You'll be just as responsible if Locke finds out. Do you want to live?" she asks him. Floyd looks at her, asking what this is about. Osita nods, explaining that Task Force X isn't what it used to be. The power has shifted dangerously. I can get you out, but there's work to do first, she tells him, and Floyd nods. "So what happens now?" he asks. A short time later, the entire team meets at the palace. Thylacine and Chaos Kitten walk out, informing the group that they are in. As they begin to enter, Floyd turns to Harley. "Can you guard the gate?" he asks, and she nods, asking why. "You're the only one I trust," he tells her. Inside, they find the president's panic room. Jog steps forward, phasing through and destroying the gate's security lock. The doors fly open to reveal the president. "Please, this is all wrong. My people need me," she begs. Floyd steps forward and aims his wrist gun. "Goodbye, Madam President," he says as he fires a shot. The smoke clears as he gets on the radio with Locke. "It's done," he says. The Aerie steps forward, telling their mother not to speak. The president leans against the wall, the bullet hole next to her head, and she rushes forward and hugs the Aerie. "Hello, Mom," the Aerie thinks as they begin to cry. The Aerie quickly explains that their mother has to go into hiding for a while, and Osita steps forward, telling the woman that she has to be dead for just a little while. As the team boards the helicopters and heads home, Osita addresses her team. She apologizes for the deaths of TNT and Scale, that she thought they were dealing with Waller. "But we're in now. We can take them down from the inside. We can find out who Locke is actually working for," she tells them. Floyd looks up, reminding her that Locke works for the government, but Osita shakes her head and explains that Task Force X has been taken over internally. They're not worried about saving the world. They're using Task Force X as blunt weapons for their own interests, she says. At the command center, Locke leans over the console, and one of the soldiers tells him that he has a call. "Of course I do," Locke whispers. He enters the private room and sits in the chair. On the screen is a shadowy figure. "You screwed up. This whole thing was sloppy and rushed. You're going to have to be punished," the man tells him as he reaches for a button. Energy lashes through Locke's body as he convulses, gripping the chair from the pain as he fights against screaming. "Don't scream. They'll hear you outside. Can't lead people if they hear you scream. Good soldier. That's it. Good soldier," the voice tells him. It was 2 days ago that Digger Harkness leaned over the bar, a pint in hand. "I'm telling you, Jono, Task Force X is run by a bunch of muppets," he slurs to his friend. The words are picked up by several phones nearby and transmitted back to Locke. In a short time, a naval ship is docked at the port, and a Black Ops team is sent in. The door kicks open and a squad of soldiers aim their rifles at the former villain. Captain Boomerang's freedom was dependent on him keeping his mouth shut. His freedom had just ended. "Oh gee, I wonder who sent you guys," Digger says as he swivels in his chair. He smiles at the soldiers, holding up his beer and offering to buy them all around instead of everyone dying. "How about you put your hands behind your head?" one of the soldiers orders as he steps forward, and Digger smiles as his hand goes behind his head. "I really could have bought you a beer," he whispers as he pulls the boomerang from inside his jacket. He moves fast as the piece of metal buries itself into the man's chest. Gunfire echoes in the bar, but Digger is fast and pushes the barrel away, punching another soldier in the face. In seconds, they're all on the ground, dead. "Tim, I need to borrow your ute," Digger says as he looks at his friend. Locke turns back to his team, finishing his briefing and explaining that they lost Digger on the Null Harbor. "Want to narrow that down? That road crosses 3 time zones. It's 1,650 kilometers long," Thylacine notes. "Can you convert that to miles?" Harley asks. Locke finishes up, giving the team their assignments on the mission. "No," Floyd says with a shake of his head. Osita turns to him, telling him that they were given orders. "Oh, I'm sorry. Are we following orders now?" Floyd asks her. Harley pops up behind him, asking what she's missed. But Floyd blows her off and looks back at Locke, telling him that he won't hunt down Harkness. "1 year added to your sentence," Locke tells him simply. "Oh, shut up. That's not the deal," Floyd says. But Locke looks at him, and he reminds Floyd of his daughter and asks how many more years he's planning on missing. A short time later, the team lands in southern Australia. They know that Digger will hear a helicopter from miles out, so they land and climb in an old beat-up van. "Road trip!" Harley yelled with a glee. Time passes. "Are we there yet?" she yells for the umpteenth time. Wink teleports her away and returns in seconds with a smile. "You should probably go get her," Osita says as she leans forward. "She's fine. I left her surrounded by wildlife," Wink promises. She grumbles as Osita pushes and returns in seconds with a stunned Harley, who is covered in feathers. "So many emus," Harley whispers. Eventually, Thylacine pulls over for the night, explaining that they can't hunt Harkness in the dark. She pulls out her phone, explaining to the others that Locke can't hear them because there's no towers for him to bounce a signal off. "Stay here, pitch the tents," Osita orders as she and the other revolutionaries leave Floyd and Harley behind. With the rest of the team gone, Harley begins to question Floyd about what's going on, but he once again brushes her off. "I'm a highly trained psychiatrist, Floyd Lawton. I will subtly extract the information from you," she promises. That night, Floyd awakens on the ground, tied up. "What's wrong with my head?" he grumbles, and Harley smiles down at him. "That would be the ether. Ether is subtle," she explains with a glee. Osita sits up from her own spot on the ground, demanding to know why they are tied, and Harley looks at them both and demands answers. She knows that the team couldn't have beaten the revolutionaries on their sub, so tell me, why do you let yourselves get captured? She asks, leaning into Osita. "Because you've hurt us," Thylacine says from right behind Harley, scaring the woman and knocking her to the ground. Osita snaps her ropes and charges Harley, grabbing her by the throat. "You want answers?" she snaps. Harley nods. "Although I feel the power dynamic has changed," Harley gasps. Osita explains her story. She was a member of the US military and was eventually experimented on. They made her stronger and more durable. Only she and one other woman survived the treatments, and the other woman became her wife. "Is this a love story? What a twist!" Harley claps with glee. Eventually, they were both assigned to babysit some crazy people during a mission. A metal boomerang came flying out of the battle, cutting through Osita's arm and burying itself into her wife's chest. They called it friendly fire, she explained. After that, she wasn't allowed to take her wife's body. The military decided that with everything they had put in her, she was their property. Eventually, Osita learned about Task Force X, learned that her government was employing and defending criminals. She tracked down others that had been hurt by them, gathered them together as a team. She dropped clues to draw the Suicide Squad out, stole the sub, and waited for them. She explains that she thought they'd be seen as an asset, that they'd be taken alive and brought on the inside. But I underestimated Locke, she explains. Memories of TNT's death flash through her mind. She looks at Harley, explaining that they could take down Locke now, but she wants the head. Locke's not the head? Harley asks. But the others have gathered, explaining that someone is pulling Locke's strings, and Harley looks at them all. So what happens now? She asks. Accidents happen. We can drop you off the cliff, Thylacine tells her. Or you go the rest of the way with us, Ares says. Harley nods and grabs Floyd, pulling him away. Once they are on their own, she asks why is he going along with this? Because this gig's gonna kill me, Floyd tells her. He knows that he's been lucky up to this point, but knows that that luck will run out. Watching Locke kill that kid, he explains, reminding her that while Waller was a monster, she was their monster. After their talk, Harley walks back over to the group and tells them that she's in. Osita demands to know why, and Harley explains that she has had a history of being forced into bad situations. Osita, she gets to be one of us, Ares tells their leader. The others vote, and Harley is brought into the fold. The next morning, the group continues forward. The Ares swoops down, reporting to the others that she's found Digger's truck amongst the car graveyard ahead. Inside, the group gets out. Fan out! Look for! Osita begins to order, but she is interrupted. Nah, no need, Digger calls out to them. He holds up a beer and waves it. Floyd, Harley, I was waiting for you. I was kinda hoping it would be someone other than you, Digger tells them. He was waiting for us? Floyd says as Osita orders Jog to take Digger. Floyd realizes what is about to happen and tries to warn Jog, but it's too late, and Harkness hits the button on his detonator, and the graveyard suddenly explodes around them. The fire licks at Jog's face as he stumbles and falls. Digger throws a boomerang, but Wink teleports out of the path, and Osita catches the weapon with her robotic hand. Harkness suddenly looks over his shoulder to find Thylacine standing behind him. Bloody hell, where'd you come from? He asks. She attacks with her staff, twirling and knocking the man to the ground. Wink appears above him, landing and smashing his face with her boots. As the Aerie tends to jog, Osita marches forward, anger on her face. But Floyd rushes over, trying to stop her. We're supposed to bring him in alive. Remember the plan, he reminds her. But she merely backhands him away. Deadshot, what's happening? Locke shouts over the radio. It's under control, Locke, Floyd groans. Osita stalks forward and lifts Digger up by the throat. Suddenly, a shot goes off and the bullet hits a car by Osita's head. Everyone turns in shock to see Harley aiming a pistol. I will shoot you. I mean, not fatally, but, she warns. Osita leans in close, telling Harkness that he is the reason she hurts. I don't know what that means, he tells her. She lifts him up, preparing to stab him through the chest with his own boomerang, as Locke warns her to stop over the radio. But it is Jog who stays her hand. Osita, my friend, don't do this. This isn't how it's supposed to go down, he tells her. Osita is shocked, but Jog explains that he heals fast, although he can smell his own skin. She turns back to Digger. You got lucky, Harkness, she growls. Back at the command base, Locke warns them all to give him a report before he electrocutes them all. but Osida's voice crackles over the radio. "It's done, Locke. We've got Captain Boomerang. We're bringing him in," Osita reports as the team walks out of the graveyard. A short time later, Digger sits in the electro chains at Belle Reve Prison. "It's something different, eh? Did you get a haircut, Waller?" he asks with a smile as he looks up at the shielded Locke. The blonde man just smiles and turns to Floyd. "Deadshot, shoot your funny friend in the head," he orders. "Seriously?" Deadshot asks as the others question why they had to go all the way to Australia if Locke was just gonna kill him anyway. "Because I wanted you all to see what happens," Locke says. He explains that he knows they did something at Bednia, that he wants them to see the consequences of disobedience. Locke and the rest of the soldiers hold up the detonators to the squad's bombs. "Now do it, Lawton, or one of my men blow up your head, and we go down the line until someone does what I say," Locke snarls. Digger closes his eyes. "It's okay, Floyd. No hard feelings, mate," Harkness tells him. Locke looks at Deadshot again, yelling for him to shoot, that Locke owns him. A gunshot echoes through the room, and the round hits Zebra Man on the shoulder. The villain is stunned by the pain, and the force field drops from around Locke. "No force field, you don't own me," Floyd tells Locke as the man looks in surprise. Deadshot fires his wrist gun at Locke's head at point-blank range, and everyone stares in shock. "We're improvising!" Osita shouts to her team. "Oh snap!" Harley laughs. Things start moving fast as Osita orders Jog to get all the triggers. As the team moves in to fight the soldiers, Jog is a blur around the room. But as he moves for the last one, the man presses the button. His life flashes before his eyes in an instant. He stops in front of Osita. "I almost got them all," he tells her as the bomb in his neck begins to beep. "You did great, kid," she tells him as she takes his hand, and his head explodes before her. The team gathers behind her, and Osita orders Wink to deactivate all the bombs and grab all the intel they can. "I want to know everything they've hidden," she says. She turns to the last soldiers, the one who blew up Jog. "You, connect me to whoever Locke reports to," she orders. The man looks at her in fear, pulling out his phone and hitting a few buttons. He holds it up. "Locke, is it done?" the man questions. Osita looks at him for a moment. "Locke's dead, and we're very, very angry, Ted Cord," she growls. Ted smiles at her, informing her that he tried to warn Locke that the revolutionaries were too much trouble. He offers to explain everything to them, but Osita just glares in anger. "You can explain when we come for you," she says. But Ted once again just smiles. He explains that they're in a lot of trouble, that this operation has a lot of things tied up into it that will make a lot of powerful people angry. "I have some highly effective friends I can send after you. If I were you, I'd just surrender," he tells them. But the team gathers. "If I were you, I'd run," Osita warns him as they all escape. Gotham City. Chaos Kitten grits her teeth and asks why the doc doesn't have any pain meds. "Just think happy thoughts," Thylacine offers. And Kitten grits her teeth as the doc finishes pulling the bomb out of her neck. The doc steps out of the room, taking a phone call. "You okay?" Thylacine asks. "I just had surgery with no pain relief," Kitten tells her. "Absolute agony is a small price to pay for not having a bomb inside you," Thylacine reminds her. The two step back out into the room with the rest of the team. Deadly Six looks around and points out that the doctor's office isn't the most hygienic, even pointing out that there's a dead dog lying on the floor, and the doc suddenly sticks her head through the door. "I remembered that I had anesthetic after all," she shouts. "You remembered after cutting us all open?" someone shouts. She waves it and asks if they want it. "Of course we do," Chaos Kitten shouts, but Thylacine leans forward. She can sense the doc's heart, and she knows that she is lying. Also, I can read your mind, Finn tells her as he leans in. Chaos Kitten punches the doc across the face, causing her to drop the syringe of poison. Man, what's the world coming to when you can't trust a back alley doctor who lost her license due to some mild organ harvesting? Harley sighs. The group looks around, questioning why the doctor would try to poison them after helping them. Because of this, Osita says as she picks up the woman's phone and reads the bounty for the squad. In the Batcave, Batman looks at the $24 million bounty on the Suicide Squad's heads. In moments, he is rumbling out of the Batcave in the Batmobile. Osita leads the team outside, explaining that they need to get back to the plane and out of the city. But Chaos Kitten stops as she looks back. "Hold up! The dog isn't dead!" she shouts. Osita looks back as Chaos Kitten picks up the animal. "I am not leaving a dog in this environment," Kitten explains as she holds the animal. "We should take the dog," the Airy agrees as they lean in. Everyone climbs aboard the truck, and they leave the alley. Moments later, a group of ninjas arrive, looking for the team. But they scatter quickly as Batman descends from the rooftops. He grunts as he surveys the scene. He calls back to Alfred, explaining that he is tracking the problem. "And I'm not the only one." As the team heads back to the waiting plane, Deadly Six continues to go through the files that they stole from Locke, and he finally finds something interesting. "Harley and Deadshot were free," he says, looking at the pair. "You've done enough missions. Your time was served. You had official pardons," he explains as they both look at him with shock. Harley is surprised, but anger flashes over Floyd's face. The dog keeps barking, causing Osita to yell at it. "No, the dog's right. We're in trouble. They're surrounding us," Thylacine whispers to the group. The ninjas open fire with a rocket, and Osita shouts for Zebraman to put up a force field right before the rocket detonates. The force knocks the shielded truck over, flipping it onto its back. "Everyone okay?" Zebraman puffs. "Feeling unexploded and glad you accepted our invitation to join us, Zebraman." Finn nods with a smile. Chaos Kitten moves to the doors, ordering Zebraman to drop his force field and Deadly Six to prepare to help. "And protect the dog," she hisses to the group. They throw open the doors and everyone steps out for the fight. But they stop short. All of the assassins are already down. "Hey, the assassins we were gonna beat up have already been pre-beaten," Harley whispers. "It's not the first time I've stood on a dark Gotham street surrounded by mysteriously unconscious people. I'm not gonna lie, it's never ended well," Harley tells the group. Everyone turns, and their eyes widen in shock as they see Batman standing behind Harley. "What are you looking at?" Harley questions, and they motion behind her. Harley spins with her pistols, but nothing is there. She spins back to Chaos Kitten and Thylacine, but they aren't there. "Oh, come on! Stop Batmaning!" Harley shouts at everyone. She turns again to see the pair fighting Batman a short distance away. Thylacine and Kitten manage to dodge Batman's attacks, ducking and weaving while getting a few blows in. Thylacine comes up and knees the Dark Knight in the face, but he backhands her away before catching Chaos Kitten's kick and tossing her aside. Wink teleports behind him. "Hi, big fan. Sorry about this. I truly hope you don't go squish," she says as she teleports Batman into the air and drops him. But he launches a grapple hook and lands on the ground with ease. Gunshots echo through the area as Deadshot puts a few rounds into the Batman's chest, knocking him to the ground. "Did you kill Batman?" Wink shouts in surprise. But Floyd shakes his head as he reloads. "No, he won't be down for long," he tells her. He turns, yelling for the others to get to the plane while he distracts Batman. He looks to Osita, hoping that she finds the revenge that she wants. "I've been pardoned. I want to stop. And I have somewhere I need to be," he tells her. Osita smiles at him and tells him that he's a good man. Chaos Kitten comes running up with their new dog. "Take the dog," she tells him. "Why?" Floyd asks in surprise. "Self-defense, mainly. Batman's never gonna hurt a dog," she tells him. Harley comes over to say goodbye to Floyd, telling him to say hi to his kid for her. But Batman's back on his feet, throwing a batarang as Floyd yells for the others to run. He shoots another round, knocking the batarang out of the air, and he fires at the Dark Knight, who dodges the bullets and tackles him to the ground. "You shouldn't have come to my city, Lawton," Batman growls. As the others continue to flee, Wink stops for a moment as she sees the Batmobile. "I didn't want to. Your city sucks," Floyd snaps as he charges Batman. In the distance, the revolutionaries' plane takes off. Deadshot tries to throw a punch, but Batman easily blocks it and tosses him over his head. Deadshot keeps shooting, but Batman avoids it and cracks him across the face with a batarang. "Those things hurt, man!" Deadshot gasps as he struggles to his feet. Batman leaps in, coming in for the finishing blow, but Deadshot reaches for his secret weapon. "Stop! I'm holding a dog!" Floyd shouts as he holds up the puppy. Batman pulls the punch, stopping before striking the animal. "Truce?" Floyd says to the shocked Batman. Batman isn't convinced, but Floyd explains that Waller has left the squad to some absolute bastard, and they all escaped. He goes back to the truck and picks up Deadly Six's laptop, showing Batman that he was pardoned. "Not by me," Batman says, looking back up at the killer. "That's not how the law works. You breaking the law now?" Floyd asks as he pushes the laptop closer to Batman. He looks at the Dark Knight, explaining that this squad is different, that they stopped a war. "You giving up crime?" Batman asks. "I don't know," Floyd admits to him. "You should. Do it for your daughter. She deserves a less dangerous path," Batman tells him. Floyd looks at him in shock. "You seriously lecturing me about putting a kid on a dangerous path? Have you met any of your Robins?" he asks in shock. He turns to walk away, telling Batman that he's going home now. And after a few feet, he turns back. "Everything okay? You usually disappear by now," Floyd asks the Dark Knight. Batman pauses for a moment. "My car's gone," he growls. Floyd smiles, explaining Wink and how she is a thief and teleporter. "It was locked, impenetrable," Batman says. "You want me to call you an Uber?" Floyd asks after a moment of uncomfortable silence. "You want me to call you an ambulance?" Batman asks. They stare at each other for a moment before Deadshot turns to walk away. "Good talk," he calls over his shoulder. Cord Industries. Ted Kord's assistant enters his office, informing the billionaire that his jet is standing by. "Any news on Task Force X?" Ted asks as he stands there, but the man shakes his head and informs him that they are still in the wind. "I told Locke the revolutionaries were too volatile," Cord grumbles. He sighs as they enter the elevator, explaining that with all the files that they stole, they could jeopardize everything he's working towards. "It's a shame. Part of me likes them. I heard one of them stole Batman's car. That's objectively funny," Ted says with a smile. As they walk to the jet, Ted questions whether they could find out about the girl, but his assistant shakes his head, explaining that there is no digital history of her. Cord nods as he steps into his jet, telling the man to step up their search. "I want them taken down. Just do it," he says. Outside his ex-wife's home, Floyd Lawton sighs. He closes his eyes, telling himself that he can do this. The dog wags his tail, and he walks up, knocking on the door gently. When his daughter opens it, he hangs his head, knowing that she doesn't want to see him. "Daddy!" she screams with joy as she launches out the front door and hugs him. She looks up at him, happy that he's home and asking if he's okay. "Yeah," he says with a smile and a tear in his eye as he hugs her. A short time later, Zoe is playing in the front yard with the dog while Floyd explains everything to her mother. "I'm free, Michelle. I was pardoned. I've repaid my debt to society," he tells her while they watch their daughter. but she's not convinced. "I'm glad you bought a house," he says, trying to continue. And she nods, explaining that she didn't like where his money was coming from, but didn't want it to go to waste either. Finally, she asks him if he's going to keep killing for money. I want to stop, but I don't know what else to do. I'm not good at anything else," he tells her. Zoe comes racing by, grabbing Floyd and dragging him into the house to show him something. She shows him all her trophies, explaining that she's been winning a lot of archery competitions. He smiles, looking at the dartboard and seeing only bullseyes. He turns back to her, shocked to see her in a makeshift costume. "I call myself Live Shot," she says with a smile. She asks him what he thinks right before they hear Michelle yelling from the other room. "Quick, change your clothes," Floyd whispers. He runs into the other room where he finds her watching TV. Plastered across the screen is a picture of him and the other members of the revolutionaries. "I knew it!" she shouts angrily. He looks at the TV in shock. "None of that is true. I didn't lie, Michelle. I was pardoned, but I should have known they wouldn't let me just walk away. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought this here," he tells her through gritted teeth. And as if on cue, a shout comes from the front door. "Floyd Lawton, this is the FBI! Come out with your hands where we can see them!" they shout. Floyd puts down his suitcase, opening it to reveal his weapons and costume. He picks up a Desert Eagle, preparing himself. "Dad, what are you going to do?" Zoe asks. He sighs. "I surrender!" Floyd shouts as he steps out the front door with his hands in the air. The SWAT members shout at him, but Floyd just tells them to all be calm, that the situation doesn't need to get out of hand. But one of them rushes him, kicking him in the back of the knee and dropping him. "Hey, I'm not resisting, you don't have to," he begins. But they kick him in the face and throw him to the ground. He fights the urge to fight back, gritting through the blood in his mouth as he thinks of Zoe. But just then, an arrow flies through the air, hitting one of the SWAT members in the leg. "Leave my dad alone!" Zoe shouts from the front steps with her bow. The dog, now in a costume beside her. One of the officers raises his SMG, ordering her to put down the weapon. "Zoe, put down the bow, kid. I'm okay," Floyd shouts from the ground. He looks to the nervous police, telling them to calm down and give the kid a second. But the cop is too nervous, and Floyd watches as his finger tightens on the trigger. "Don't!" Floyd shouts. He's moving fast, pushing the SMG aside as it fires. He whirls, pulling the weapon from the cop and elbowing him hard in the face. As the cop falls, Floyd pulls the pistol from his holster. He dodges through the air, firing his weapons. But he shoots to wound, not kill. Kneecaps, shoulders, hands, and the police are disabled within seconds. Another arrow lashes out, hitting a cop in the shoulder. She's really good, Floyd thinks, proud of his daughter. But another SWAT officer turns, firing his SMG at her. "Dad!" Zoe shouts in fear. The round streaks across the yard. But suddenly, in a wink of purple, Zoe isn't standing there anymore. They appear in the air, where the Airy catches them. "Hi, Zoe. I'm Wink, and that's the Airy. We came as quickly as we could. Lucky we know where to find you. Harley says you're the only thing your dad ever talks about," Wink tells the young girl with a smile. Zoe is shocked as Wink explains that they're friends of her dad's. "I didn't know my dad had any friends," she says shakily. "I'm not sure Floyd even knew he had friends, but he's about to work it out," Wink says. Floyd turns in shock as the revolutionaries' ship hovers down towards them. "Floyd is one of us. You don't get to touch him. Those of you still capable of running should run away," Finn announces to the cops in their minds. As the rest of the team come down, the cops turn and flee as fast as they can. The Airy lands with Zoe, who runs to her father and asks if he's okay. Floyd doesn't say anything as he turns and goes back into the house. He stops, opening up his briefcase. He's not okay. He trusted the pardon. He let his guard down, and it almost got his family killed. He knows that they won't leave him alone. The door opens, and Deadshot walks back out to rejoin his team. "It's time to kill the Suicide Squad," he tells them. The team hides their flying base, and Osita says that she's seen enough. When Floyd questions her, she asks where his daughter is. "Outside, playing with Dogshot," he explains. "Zoe named the puppy Dogshot? That is the best," Wink says with a smile. Thylacine explains that they've gone through all the intel they've stolen and come up with a conclusion. "We need to put a bullet in Ted Kord's brain," Osita finishes. They gather the team together, and Thylacine begins to run through everything that they've found. "Oh, is this a presentation?" Harley asks from her spot on the floor. "We've provided snacks," Wink tells her as she hands over a bowl of chips. "Thank you. Go on," Harley shouts with glee. They explain that Kord has spent the last 6 months lining the pockets of senators and buying out defense contracts. He also convinced the government to sell him Task Force X. And he also sold submarines to Australia, with the point being to destabilize the South China Sea. The Ares steps forward and tells them that he's done all of this because he wants her country, Bednia, because of what we discovered 10 years ago, they say. Harley munches on a chip. "Okay, I'm invested. What'd you find?" she asks with her mouth full. Thylacine explains that the country found one of the largest oil deposits beneath the earth. Floyd is shocked, explaining that they could sell that and the country would live rich. But the Aerie explains that it would also destroy their country, that their mother wouldn't want this for their country. "We sacrificed a lot to stop this. It's why I have wings," they explain. Harley shovels another handful of chips into her mouth. "You mind backing up a bit? I think I missed something vital there," she says between the bites. Aerie explains that they were kidnapped 5 years ago. Their kidnappers demanded that Bednia agree to trade talks within the area, but their mother wouldn't give in to the demands. When it became clear that the kidnappers could do nothing with them, the Aerie was sold to the Post-Human Project, who began experiments. Eventually, the guards forced her to walk off a cliff, and as the Aerie stepped out into the clear sky, their wings sprouted and they took flight. It was amazing, but they had chained their foot and the Aerie was brought back down. What they didn't know was that Wink saw everything, and that night, she teleported into the Aerie's cell. "Hello? You in there?" Wink asked with a smile as she looked through the Aerie's wings, where they were hiding in sadness. "I saw you up there. It was amazing," Wink says with a smile. The Aerie questions how Wink got into their cell, and she explains that she can get anywhere. They just don't know that what they did worked on me, and I'm not gonna tell them, or I'll likely disappear like all the others, Wink tells them. The two sit and talk, and Wink explains that people disappear around the facility all the time. And finally, she stands, asking if the Aerie is hungry. "Do you like pizza?" she asks. "Of course I like pizza. I'm a bird person, not a monster," the Aerie tells her. In a puff of purple, Wink disappears. And in moments, she returns with a pizza in hand. "Oh right, I teleport. I'm Wink," she says when she sees the Aerie's startled face. She looks down at them, asking if they mind sharing. "You know how hard this place shakes sometimes? Want to meet the reason why?" Wink asks with a raised eyebrow. They teleport into a room filled with broken debris. "Welcome to the test chamber. Nothing says cozy and welcoming like scorched concrete walls and the burnt husks of whatever they were before they were burnt husks," she says. After a moment, she gestures to the two teens that are sitting on the ground. "This is the home of Javier and Lola, the TN teens," Wink introduces the two. The two are shocked to see the Aerie with their wings, but Wink introduces her new friend and explains that they are amazing. "Now let's eat and I'll hop out for a few drinks," Wink tells them all with a smile. Over the next few weeks, the four became good friends, but eventually they were pulled apart by a monster. One day, the test chamber was invaded by Amanda Waller, flanked by Killer Croc and KG Beast. She looks down at the TNTs, explaining that they got into trouble in Argentina 2 years ago and owe their country a lot of years behind bars. I have brought those years, Waller says with a smile, but she only needs one of them. Croc reaches down, picking up Lola and throwing her over his shoulder, but KG Beast turns and aims his arm gun at the boy. "Either of you starts glowing, and I put a bullet in the other one," he growls. From their hidden place in the rafters, the Airy refuses to let their friends be taken, and they leap down, gliding through the air and grabbing Lola by the arms. "Hold tight! I've never tried this before!" they shout. KG Beast begins to open fire, but Waller yells for him to stop. Instead, he shoots out a hook that grabs the Airy by the leg and pulls them to the ground. "Shouldn't have done that, little bird," Croc rumbles as he steps forward. With a sickening crunch, he brings his foot down and snaps one of the Airy's wings. "Is this one a criminal too?" Waller asks the facility director, but he shakes his head. "Shame," she says, and turns to walk away. Wink looked after them, nursing the Airy's wings back to health. It took 5 weeks. And finally, Wink appeared in their cell, explaining that they were leaving. She explains that she can only teleport so far from the island. "I've never flown beyond the length of the chain," the Airy explains. "I know, but I believe in you," Wink tells her. And the Airy finally agrees, but tells her that they are taking Javier as well. They teleport past the island, with the Airy quickly gaining their balance and flying them to freedom. Behind them, though, a jet appears. Missiles line up and snap into place, locking on. "Keep flying, it's okay, I'm not scared anymore," Wink tells them. She disappears in a flash, appearing once more in the cockpit of the jet. "Hi, I don't like you," she says. They teleport out of the jet and both begin to fall through the air. But the Airy is there, catching Wink. She looks at them, love in her eyes. And that's when she gives the Airy their name. They both lean in, kissing for the first time. This is beautiful, but it's also super awkward," Javier tells them from his place on the Airy's other side. And the backstory ends. Yay! The middle sucked, but that ending! Harley claps as the Airy finishes their story. Floyd thinks about it, working out that Cord is trying to rule Bednia so that he can have an instant empire. Osita nods, trying to figure out his next move. Well, if he's been buying the islands around it, why not just get rid of the whole country? Harley asks. But Osita shakes her head, not knowing how he would get rid of a whole country. But suddenly, Floyd's eyes widen. "The big one in the basement!" he shouts. He explains that Waller used to talk about the big one in the basement. He also assumed that it was just a large metahuman. But what if it's a bomb? He asks. In his base, Ted smiles at Lola, asking how she's doing. He keeps her in a suspended tank, not allowing her to explode. "It'll all be over soon. Almost the big day," he says with a smile. And another tank sits nearby. "Someone will stop you. It's only a matter of time," the voice calls. "Someone? You couldn't come up with a more specific threat? It's okay. I'm almost done with you too," Ted says, and walks out the room. The two guards walk down the hallway. Suddenly, fists come out of the shadows and knock them out. "No chatter. They don't know we're here," Thylacine tells the squad. "We look good," Chaos Kitten comments as she stands up and pulls on the guard's sunglasses, straightening her suit. "We do look good," Thylacine agrees. The two continue to move through the Capitol building, finally arriving at the senator's office. The man stands behind his desk, demanding to know how they got inside. With an almost surgical blend of stealth and violence, Chaos Kitten tells him with a smile, The senator begins to argue, but Thylacine crosses the room and knocks him out with a single kick. When the man awakens, a voice is speaking in his head. He opens his eyes to discover that he is underwater, tied to an anchor with an oxygen tank strapped to his body. Finn floats from the darkness around him, demanding to know why the senator had recently become one of Ted Kord's biggest investors. And the senator looks at Finn in anger. "Do you know who I am?" he thinks harshly, but Finn just smiles. "You think you're a big deal to a freaking sea monster?" Finn laughs. In moments, he breaks the surface of the water and tells Thylacine and Chaos Kitten that he has Ted Kord's location. "Okay, do you also have the senator?" Kitten asks. Finn turns to them, reminding them that the senator championed a law to dump more waste into the ocean. Thinks he owns the world. I have some friends reminding him that he does not, Finn tells them. Beneath the surface, an octopus begins to wrap around the senator as a shark circles. Elsewhere, Harley and Floyd sit on the cargo ramp of the revolutionaries' flying base. "This is it, huh? Our last mission together," Harley says as she looks at Floyd with a smile. "It's been fun, Floyd," she tells him. But Floyd shakes his head. "Not the word I'd use," he reminds her. "Okay, it's been irreparably mentally scarring," she corrects. But she still smiles and tells him that she'll miss him. "Yeah, you too, Quinn," he says with a grin. Suddenly, gunshots echo through the forest. Floyd runs off, finding his daughter aiming a pistol. He takes it from her as she motions to the birds she shot. "Look what I can do," she says proudly. "That's nothing to be proud of," he tells her. He explains that he doesn't want her using guns, reminding her that you can't do what he does and come out unscathed. "You should quit," she tells him, but Floyd closes his eyes. "It's not that easy," he says. "Sure it is. You're good at hitting targets, so you should aim for something better," she tells her father. Wink suddenly appears and lets them know that they found Ted Kord, reminding Floyd that they need to get Zoe and Michelle somewhere safe. "Dad, do you really want to feel better?" Zoe asks her father before he leaves. He nods and tells her yes. "Then don't kill anyone," she says simply. She holds up her hand, demanding that he make a pinky promise not to kill anyone. "Pinky swear," he tells her. The next day, the Aerie returns to the base in the South China Sea, reporting that Kord is setting up a private military base on the Babylon Islands and a large city on the largest island. Osita nods, realizing that he is building a capital for his new nation. The Aerie looks at the layout of the city, explaining that if they come by sea, they'll be blasted out of the water. And if they come by air, they'll be blasted out of the sky. "It's too bad we don't still have a submarine," Deadly Six notes. "Actually, we have a submarine," Zebraman quietly tells the group. "If you think outside the box," he finishes. A short time later, Finn is pushing the group through the ocean in the shield bubble that Zebraman created around them. Osita explains that they will head for the building and put down anyone that gets in their way. Wink turns to Floyd, reminding him that he promised not to kill anyone. "And I intend to keep that promise. I can still shoot people, I just can't kill," he tells her grimly. "Okay, let's go, Mame Shot," she says with a smirk. Explosions rip through the city as the revolutionaries move fast and hard, taking down any of the mercs that get in their way. From his building, Kord looks down at the chaos. "Damn it!" he snaps as he watches. The team moves into the building, with Finn and Deadly Six breaking off to cover their exit, and Thylacine, Zebraman, and Chaos Kitten guarding the elevators in the lobby. The elevator doors close on the rest of the group, everyone checking their weapons. "We don't know what's going on up there. Be ready for anything," Osita tells her team. The elevator dings at the top, and the doors are forced open, and the team gasps in shock. "I wasn't ready for this," Osita whispers. Superman smiles at them. Ted Kord bound at his feet. "Hi, it's okay, it's over," he says as he greets them. He looks down at the man, explaining that he knew what Ted did and how he manipulated the world. I'm sorry for what he did, and I promise that he will answer for his crimes, Superman tells them. The group looks at him, asking what they're supposed to do now. Now, you stand down, Superman orders them. But Osita becomes angry, refusing to stand down after everything that Cord has done. She storms across the room, getting in Superman's face. They're all cowards. They don't do anything. They don't punish those who deserve to be punished. They serve the status quo. She snaps at him. Harley steps forward, reminding Osita that she is crazy. But even I'm not crazy enough to go against Superman, she whispers. The Ares steps forward and puts a hand on the woman's chest. Osita, my country is safe. It's not the way you wanted, but it's over, they tell her. They look up, asking if Superman saw the friend that they're looking for, and the Man of Steel looks around. Is she a young, glowing woman? He asks. They nod, and he explains that she is in the back of a van outside the building. I can get her as soon as I deal with Cord, he tells them, but Osita turns away. No, she's ours, we've got her, the woman snaps. As the rest of the group leaves, Floyd leans to Harley and asks her to give him a minute. He walks over to Superman, who asks what the man needs. I was pardoned. I served my time, Floyd tells the Man of Steel, and Superman smiles at the news. I'm happy to hear it. I don't think it will surprise you to learn that I'm a big fan of justice, Superman tells him. Superman stands, congratulating the man. Did you just come back to chat? Because I should fly, Superman finally tells him. Floyd nods, explaining that his daughter has started to act like him and that he was hoping for a better role model for her. He walks over to Ted's desk where he finds a magazine with Superman on the cover. Would you mind signing an autograph for her? Maybe give her some positive words? Floyd asks with a grin. Superman smiles and tells him that it would be his pleasure. He signs the magazine and quickly hands it back. Hey, thanks, Floyd says as he stares at the signature. He sighs. Yeah, that's what I thought, he whispers. Superman looks surprised as Floyd hits his comms. Everyone, we have a problem up here, he tells the team. He reaches down, picking up Cord and explaining that Superman made it look like he came through the window. But there's no glass inside. Plus, it doesn't make any sense for Superman to bind and gag a guy. And I never told you my daughter's name, Deadshot explains as he holds up the magazine. A gunshot echoes through the office and goes through the paper. Floyd looks down at his chest in shock as Superman morphs before his eyes. Floyd, you could have been useful, Black Mask tells the man as he holds a smoking pistol. He steps across the room, putting the weapon to Floyd's head. You were right, Floyd. All the things you did, they caught up to you, Black Mask tells the man as he pulls the trigger. Deadshot plummets out the broken window, pulling Ted Cord with him. Osita rips the doors off the van, shocked to find that Lola is not inside. Airy! Thylacine shouts as she looks up to see Deadshot plummeting from the building. The Airy leaps into the air, quickly catching Deadshot and Ted Cord. They land, and the Airy looks down at their friend. He's dead, they tell the group. Floyd? Harley whispers as she leans over the body, a tear playing in her eyes. Osita charges across to Cord, grabbing him by the throat and demanding to know what happened. Chaos Kitten removes the gag, ordering the man to speak. It wasn't me! It was never me! Ted shouts at them. He motions upward where a plane begins to flee the city. Osita nods, shouting for the Airy. Harley motions for her to go, taking Floyd's body. I'll hold him. Go get whoever did this and make them pay, she snaps. I'll go with you. I'll do what needs to be done, Wink tells them. The two fly through the air, quickly catching up to the plane. Quickly, Ted Cord is untied and he fills the team in on Black Mask's plan. Harley doesn't understand how he did this. but Ted explains that Black Mask has some new power that allows him to take someone's identity. He's like a chameleon, he explains. Wink teleports into the plane, but she doesn't find Black Mask. Instead, she is shocked to see that Lola is sitting in the cockpit, still tied up. What is happening? Who did this? Wink asks as she turns. Behind her, the ropes fall from Lola, and the girl pulls out a pistol. Black Mask turns back to the controls, getting on the radio and ordering all his forces to converge on Task Force X and kill them on sight. He looks down at a warning light, seeing that the cargo doors are opening. He reaches for his pistol as his appearance shifts once more to that of Wink. Vieri lands in the plane, seeing their partner standing before them. "Are you okay?" they ask. Wink nods, motioning for them to be quiet. Vieri nods, but they suddenly lash out with their wings and slam Wink against the wall. "How about now? You still okay?" they ask. Black Mask shifts again, demanding to know how Vieri knew. Wink is about half a foot shorter. "I don't like violence, but I could crush your bones to paste with these wings. Where is she?" Vieri demands. But the door to the cockpit slides open, and Wink stumbles out, holding her wounded arm. "I'm here. We need answers. Don't crush him yet," she gasps. But Black Mask just laughs. He's already won. And the Ares slams the villain against the ceiling and then the floor. On the ground, the team turns and sees the large army of mercs. "Go straight through them. Get to the water," Osita growls. Harley nods and reaches for one of Floyd's pouches. She pulls out Deadshot's mask and pulls it over her face. With that, the team launches into the biggest battle of their life. Ted Kord fighting right beside them. Suddenly, Black Mask's plane floats above them, and Wink orders for them to get inside over the loudspeaker. Harley turns, yelling that they need to get Floyd, as Chaos Kitten grabs her. "We'll come back for him. We've got to go, now!" she shouts. They all jump on board, and Osita orders the Aerie to take them to Bednia. They arrive on the island and quickly find the Aerie's mother, explaining that Lola is somewhere on the island and could explode at any moment. "Where is this girl?" the president asks. "We're working on that. We're just waiting for the guy who knows to regain consciousness," Osita explains. The president nods, telling them to find the girl while she begins the evacuation. The Aerie tries to argue, but their mother leans in and smiles. "We clearly don't have time for an argument that you won't win. I love you. Let's save our people," the president says with a smile. Ted Kord nods, pulling out his phone and telling them that he'll call some people who will help. But Osita whirls, snarling that they don't trust him. Finn walks over, getting very close. "What are you doing? Are you looking in my ear?" Kord asks him. But Finn continues to peer, telling the man that he is searching his brain. "You are secretly Blue Beetle," Finn thinks to him. He turns to the rest of the team with a smile. "We can trust him. He dresses like all the other rich destroyers, but he wears another uniform," he tells them. Harley suddenly gasps. "Wait, you're not Batman, are you?" she shouts. Ted just smiles. "You think a billionaire would spend his nights fighting crime in Gotham?" he asks as he straightens his tie. Harley stares at him for a moment before she starts laughing. "Of course not. You'd have to be so messed up," she giggles. The team heads back onto the plane as Black Mask regains consciousness, telling them that they need to get off the island. "She should have already blown up," he shouts. But Osita refuses. "Then we'll add your team to the list of people you failed," Black Mask smiles. His face begins to change, becoming Javier, Scale, Deadshot, and Jog. "Get their face off your sick head," Osita snarls as she lashes out with her robotic arm. Sionis's mask flies across the room, and Osita stares at it in shock as the villain screams in pain. "I didn't realize the mask was stuck to him," she whispers. Harley appears next to her, a look of disgust on her face. Yeah, it was burned onto him in a fire, she whispers. I was not aware of that, Osita nods. The rest step forward, demanding to know where Lola is. A short time later, they find the girl in a broken containment pod on the beach. Wink steps forward, shouting the girl's name. Energy cracks off the girl as she shouts for her friends to run. We're here for you, Wink shouts as she struggles forward. I can't keep it in anymore. All the people, Lola shouts. But the Aerie is there, explaining that everyone is evacuated. Suddenly, Lola begins to scream, telling the others that she's sorry. The Aerie moves fast, grabbing Wink and flying away. The explosion begins to build, but Zebra Man throws his bubble shield around her, trying to contain the blast. You know, Zebra Man, you're a very useful person. I'm sorry I gave you a hard time about your look and name, Harley tells him. The man nods, struggling to hold his shield. I'm sorry I lied about my whole look and name. I do like zebras. They're really majestic animals, he gasps. Harley nods and smiles. They are, she cheers. Black Mask looks on in fear, yelling that they need to run. But Osita grabs him by the back of the head and pushes him closer as Zebra Man's shield begins to weaken. We don't have time to get clear, Sionis. You lit this fuse, and you'll be here for the explosion. Welcome to the Suicide Squad, she shouts. In a morgue in Louisiana, Jog suddenly sits up in his body bag. Yes, you have a head, a voice calls out as he reaches up for the part of him that had exploded. Jog, it's a good name, the person says simply. Jog turns, demanding to know who the man clad in black is. I am the Black Racer. I am Death, and I loved your mother very much, the Black Racer tells him. He explains that Jog is now meant to be more, that he is actually a half-god. He reaches out his hand. Now, it is time, son. Come with me, he intones. But Jog shakes his head. Nope, he says simply. The Black Racer nods and keeps talking. Together we shall... Wait, did you say nope? He asks, reminding his son that he is offering him a place among the gods. But Jog shakes his head. He looks for his personal effects and asks where his friends are. The Black Racer pauses as he searches the world. They are moments from death on an island called Bednia, he explains. Jog nods as he pulls on his uniform, telling his father that he needs to go. But let's have a chat after all this, he says. We will chat, the Black Racer agrees. On the island, Osita shouts for Zebra Man to hold his shield longer, to allow more people to flee. Deadly Six comes up behind the man, gently touching him on the shoulder and whispering, Pride. Zebra Man grins. Of course I can hold it. He smiles with pride. Suddenly, Jog is next to them. Didn't you die? Osita asks him. I did. I got better, Jog replies. He grabs Zebra Man and orders him to keep holding Lola. He begins to run, with Zebra Man pulling the shield bubble along with them. When they're finally clear, Jog orders the man to drop his shield. It's okay, I can outrun it, Jog tells them as they continue to zip away. In a blur of motion, they arrive back at the team. Fill me in, the exploding woman. Should I leave her in the middle of the ocean? Jog asks Osita. No, Wink shouts. In another blur of motion, Jog returns with Lola in his arms. Here we go, he says to the team. Harley nods as she walks over to Black Mask. Crisis averted, nation saved. Now we just have to decide who gets to kill Black Mask first, she hisses as she pulls a pistol from her jacket. But Osita shakes her head. That's not going to happen, Harley. We should coordinate it so we all get to kill him in sync, she says as she pulls out her own pistol. But suddenly, an arrow hits the ground at their feet. Everyone looks up to see a jet flying over their heads. Hey! Black Mask needs to answer for his crimes, and we need him alive to do that. Green Arrow shouts down at them. Put down the gun, he orders. Harley looks up before aiming the gun to the side and shooting Black Mask in the leg. The ship lands and Green Arrow jumps off. Hey! He shouts. What? Harley shouts as she drops the gun. I said put down the gun, and you shot him in the leg! Green Arrow shouts as he rushes towards them. I did! He's got another one, Harley tells him as she shrugs. Osita turns and shoots Black Mask in the other leg. Green Arrow gasps at her, motioning to the wounded villain. He doesn't need legs to talk, she says, crossing her massive arms. The rest of the League steps off the jet. Last chance to put your weapons down, Batman snarls. He looks at everyone, reminding his teams that the revolutionaries are criminals. The Ares steps forward, reminding the Dark Knight that he has no power in Bednia. We'll take it up with the president, he snaps. That's gonna go great for you, they tell him. A short time later, Batman reminds the president that the revolutionaries are also criminals that must answer for their crimes. Is this because I stole your car? Wink asks over his shoulder. She stole your car? Superman questions. Ares' mother, the president, nods. She thanks the Justice League for coming and offers them Black Mask. But these heroes just saved our nation. You will not take them, she tells Batman. She also reminds him that it was American powers that helped Sionis in his attack against their country. I would recommend American heroes could better protect the world if they looked to clean their own house, she tells him. Your mom just spanked Batman, Wink whispers to the Aerie with a smile. As the Justice League leaves, Chaos Kitten looks around at the group. Did we win? She asks. But Osita shakes her head and reminds them all that there is more to do. Oh please, just take a moment to enjoy this, Deadly Six tells them. He waves his arms and orders the group to take pride. Celebrations are had, thanking the team for saving the nation. But eventually, Harley takes her leave from the group, having somewhere else to be. A short time later, she sits with Zoe on the front steps of their home. The young girl looks up at Harley, holding her father's mask. My father wasn't a good person, was he? Zoe asks her. Harley closes her eyes before answering. Floyd did some bad things. He hurt a lot of people, but he genuinely wanted to be better, and he managed that big time in the end. Your dad uncovered a plot to destroy a nation. His last actions saved hundreds of thousands of people and stopped the rise of an evil empire, she tells her. And I want you to know, I think it was because of you. Deadshot wanted you to have a better world than the one that he thought he lived in, she says. Zoe looks up at her, asking if Harley has to leave, but Quinn just smiles and shakes her head. Kid, I'm a psychiatrist. You just lost your father. How about we go inside and talk? She asks. She helps Zoe up, offering to tell her some heavily censored stories of her father. 2 days later, Zebraman breaks the surface of the ocean in his shield bubble and tells the others that they are in position. The rest of the team chimes in over the world, also confirming that they are in position. Take them alive, Osita orders. In seconds, the teams have moved in. Guards are disabled in a flash, and people are taken captive. When they awaken, they are all bound and gagged, tied to chairs. Welcome. I imagine you all recognize each other, or can at least extrapolate what ties you together. Osita tells the circle of the kidnapped. She explains that each person here has had a hand in Task Force X, either covering for them, financing them, or employing the squad for their own gain. You have facilitated thefts, kidnappings, and murders. You have enslaved people, Osita reminds them all. The Ares steps forward, explaining that the team took a vote and everyone gets to live. What you don't get is to continue to hurt us. they explain. The team explains that they have intel on everything the group has done, and the information will be leaked to the public should anything happen to the team. The Suicide Squad is dead. It's time for a revolution. And there you have it, Suicide Squad Bad Blood. What did you guys think of today's full story? Let me know in the comments below, and like the video if you enjoyed it, and share it with your friends. I'm Dan with Comicstorian, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.